All right, I made it. Whoa, that's loud. Let me see something here. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm a little. I'm a little late to the game tonight. I just got back up from DC. Had to go to work in DC today, so I had to rush back. And just got. That's why I started streaming actually a little bit late. I usually like to get the starting soon video up. Like 10 minutes before, give people, time they may have forgotten about it or just get time to get on and relax. But one pocket pimp. So I've gone through, I've checked out Algo Expert with a friend. Actually, a friend of mine actually bought it, and I sat through some of it with him. I thought it was a really good course. It won't teach you the language of Python in particular, but it does really cover like the thinking methods for a lot of this stuff. And I think that's what's powerful about it. I don't know how much it costs, but again, from what I saw, I really liked it. I think there are a lot of the resources that are for free on like YouTube and stuff. They're hit or miss. Like so many people make these algorithm videos. You kind of got to know what you're looking for. They seem to be very specific. I think something like this is it's pretty good to kind of have it all in one place. And actually, how much is it? $85. That's not terrible. Maybe we can try to put together. Maybe we can try to put together a list. Well, yes, we can try to put together a list of some good resources for this. So, I think I told you guys before. I've said it like 30 times, and you'll hear me do a lot of that. But I'm working on a platform. I'm actually, the problem is I didn't release it because we're actually gonna make it better, but the goal is to it's gonna be two pieces. There's gonna be a framework that Mastermind's gonna build to basically be a learning, not really a learning management platform, but something like Udemy or Team Treehouse. It's going to allow you to be able to have courses on there and to go through them. I'm not going to make those courses. All the information's already out there. There will be an open source. This is going to. I'm going to make a pretty big push for this, but there's going to be an open source repository where people can put together these courses in a specific format. It'll probably be YAML files or Markdown. And we're gonna build a repository. We're gonna curate a list of any type of courses that people want and allow you to be able to track yourself learning them on these websites. And so people can always add to the courses as new videos get made from people on YouTube and resources get released. But yeah, I have a V1 that I might share on stream. Maybe I might share it on stream tonight, like a V1, but I'm trying to make it so that it doesn't have a lot of functionality. Like you can't actually, you can't see your progress. You can go through the courses, but you can't see your progress. It builds out a nice interface, etc. But it just reads in that data. But I think it would be really cool. I think there are a bunch of repositories out there like this, but one that kind of consolidates everything into easy to kind of digest courses that the community can make, I think would be pretty cool. So I'll probably share that. But Algo Expert I've heard to be pretty good. There's another one called like Algo Pro, which is like a ripoff of this there's like this whole YouTube feud between this guy named the Tech Lead and some other people. So I'm pretty sure Algo Pro is the bad one. Actually, it looks like maybe it changed. I don't know, but yeah, Algo Expert is. Again, I can't 100% recommend it, but from what I saw, it was pretty good. Yo, from the DMV area, yeah, I'm from Largo. I'm from now Upper Marlboro. I guess that's what you got to say it is now, but I'm from Largo. The Largo sign used to be right in front of my neighborhood, but that's why I grew up in Baltimore now. But I'm always back in the area. Go to church in the area. My whole family's in the area, so I'm always back down there. Oh, cool. There's an abundance of resources. Yeah, which ones are that exactly? Like figuring out there's tons of free content, but figuring out which ones are good to use is really tough. And that's what this thing I'm trying to create, that we're going to create, is trying to be. Just like, man, if you parse through good content, you're like, this is good. I spent the time and I know this is good. You can kind of just put in a PR, you can contribute to it, you can submit. Trying to think of a cool name for it. I thought I had a cool name for it, but the word that I thought I was going to use didn't mean what I thought it meant. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of a cool name for it. But it's going to be a community project. I'm trying to get some time to I'm trying to find some time to push for it. Python, I suggest Udemy. Yeah, I really love Udemy courses. How far down the Python rabbit hole are you so far? I don't know anything about it. So we are. Let's see. What's my website? There we go. Sorry, this coffee's kicking in. I got some coffee. Coffee works really well for me because I only use it when I really need it. So I should get a little bit of energy soon. But how far down are we? So we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 6th. This is episode 6 out of 24. We've done we've covered a lot of the basic tools of it, and we're just starting to get into the logic piece. Yeah, we're just starting to get into the logic piece. And I have the streams for you to catch up. Every time, man, this is a good pilot of like building the new computer, streaming out of a new space, realizing how things work. I went to upload all the videos last night. I put them into the queue. I was going to leave and I was going to add the information when I got home, but the uploads, I wasn't seeing them like there, like in my account once I got home to my home computer. And that's because this computer here, it went to sleep, I guess. I don't know. Super odd. So the videos they're coming up. I thought I was going to have some time to do it before the stream today, but I just I drove down to DC, took the metro, and so I'm just getting back just now. So if you need to catch up, I promise you soon that you'll be able to catch up if you missed the beginning. But we're not crazy far, but we are starting getting into the logic pieces. So the course really covers concepts, so I think it's still fine for you to jump in now and then go back to pick up the other pieces, because I think the other concepts that we've learned before this are relatively easy to pick up in the grand scheme of things. And I think you can pick them up along the way, to be 100% honest. So cool. Tonight, what is tonight again? Tonight is operators and expressions. We're going to learn a little bit about comparison operators, assignment operators, arithmetic operators, and logical operators. So we are basically going to we're finally at the point where we're starting to use these tools to make decisions. We've learned how to, make variables, and we learned how to modify strings and work with the different data types, so we kind of understand what we're working with. But now we can use those things to make some decisions and use some of our values. So that's what we're going to learn tonight. And then next time we're going to learn we're going to add to that logic. We're going to be able to make bigger decisions and make decisions in our applications, and kind of control the flow and allow our application to take different paths based on information that is passed to it. So that's where we currently are. So you know what you're kind of looking forward to next week. And then we're going to hop into our first set of algorithms. So we're real close to doing the fun stuff. Got to get the boring stuff out of the way to get to the fun stuff. What's up, Cash Fiend TV? Shout out to the DMV. One day I'll move back, even though there's a lot of argument about whether or not Baltimore is part of the DMV. I don't know. I'm torn on that one. I think mentally, just because growing up where I grew up, this doesn't feel like the DMV to me. Maybe one day I'll come back. But I do like it here in Baltimore. I'm not gonna lie. Definitely give it a chance. We like to hate on Baltimore from the DMV. Give it a chance. Let's see here. Mastering Python and practicing algorithms. Yeah. I'm graduating and work on getting a job in the field. That's awesome. That's exactly what you should be doing. Picking up the language is, again, that's the relatively easy part, like picking up how to write it. But learning how to use it to solve problems, how to think through problems is really powerful. I think going through an algorithms course, a good algorithms course, will really give you some insight into solving the normal problems you'll see day to day. Because most of the problems you'll see day to day for most people aren't crazy, super tough, hard problems to solve. And if you have that background, and if you've practiced enough of the practices and the concepts that you can use to solve these algorithms, it gets pretty easy to apply them to problems that you're going to see day to day for sure. All right. So again, tonight we're just we don't have a couple of slides. If no one saw, the slides should be at the top of the chat, but I'll paste it one more time if you want to grab the slides. It's not many slides tonight at all, because this is a fairly I think this is a fairly simple topic overall. but it packs in a lot of value. Like I think it might take a little bit to get the first set of operators, but I think once you get the first set of operators down, all the rest will be super easy. And you just have to learn how to use them later on. So we are not in any rush at all tonight. Look at this one. There's only 6 slides here, and one is the title slide. So that's exciting. I like when there's not a lot of slides because it gives us time to ask questions, to really soak it in, and to just mess around and play with the stuff as we should be. But tonight, I didn't go down and get any LaCroix. I got some good old water. I don't like to drink. Whenever I drink coffee, I don't want to drink carbonated water after. So I got a little bit of regular water. I'm gonna take a sip of this. All right, let's get started. So tonight, operators and expressions, we're starting to apply a little bit of logic into our code. All right, so if you went through if you're going through the Devops course, you've seen this slide and maybe the one after it. This is we're going to start to compare values. So comparison operators, they compare values. They compare two values. They compare what's on the left to what's on the right. So let's take a look at this here, and let's start from the top. We'll run through. We'll hop into some code. We'll hop into the interpreter, and we'll get messing around with some things. So the first comparison operator is equality. So what do I mean by an equality operator? That is checking if two values are equal. So there's a lot of times that you would want to check that. Hey, Army Lucio, welcome. Thanks for the follow. But you might want to check if two values are equal. You're going to want to do this often. So you're going to want to check if something on the left is equal to something on the right. So this is just a little example here so it's important to note that all of these comparison operators, whenever you have a comparison operators, they return a Boolean value. We talked about data types. What's a Boolean value? True or false. So when you're comparing two things, the only thing you can get back is yes, this is correct, this is true, or no, this is false. That's the only thing you can get back from these comparison operators. They all return Boolean values. So equality, 5 equals 5. So we're basically saying with this comparison operator, is what's on the left here, is 5 equal to 5? And that is true. 5 is equal to 5. And what we're checking here is 5 equal to 6? And we know 5 and 6 are not equal, so we get false. So let's see that in the interpreter. Let's open up CLI, let's go into Bash, let's go into Python. We installed Python 3.8 from source yesterday. I didn't make any aliases or any symlinks, so we'll start using Python 3.8 so we can have all the newest and latest and greatest available to us, even though we won't need it tonight. But we did install Python from source last night when we were learning how to install packages on Linux for the Devops course. So a comparison operator is 5 equals 5. Yeah, so we can definitely use the walrus operator sometime tonight. So if we want to check if 5 is equal to 5, when I type that in, Python goes ahead and it evaluates that, and it says yes, 5 is equal to 5, which is true. But if I choose anything else, like 43, it lets us know that it's false. So it's, again, comparing the thing on the left to the thing on the right. Now, this is very different in different languages. The next piece we're going to try something really quick. Remember that Python is not a statically typed language. So we talk about data types. So that's comparing values right there. It's comparing the value 5 to the value 5. Both of those are of what type? Integers. So it's comparing the integer 5 to the integer 5, or the integer 5 to the integer 43. But what if we compare the integer 5 to the float 5? In Python, we get true. There are languages that would return that as false because they check both the value and the type. So that's good to know. But what if we do something like this? We compared it to a float. What happens if we compare it to the string 5? Is 5 integer the same as 5 the string? And no, in Python it is not, which is a good thing, which I really like actually. So yes, 5 integer is not equal to the string 5. So it is doing some type checking there, at least for that. But it doesn't only have to be numerical values. You can check if strings are equal. So I can say, is hello equal to hello? And I hit enter, and yes, so what's on the left is equal to what's on the right. But what happens if we change one of the letters, maybe capitalize this hello? Now they are false. This is not the same thing. Again, we learned a little bit about characters and runes, and we learned a little bit about ASCII tables. But hello lowercase is not the same thing as hello with an uppercase H. Those are two different strings, even though they read the same word. So important to note, you're checking if what's on the left is equal to what's on the right. Hey, Dion, welcome to the stream. Thanks for the follow. But you're checking what's on the left is equal to what's on the right. And again, it can be different types. It doesn't have to be a number value. You can check if two things are equal. And we'll talk later about why you would want to do something like that. But that is the very first of our comparison operators. Now, what's the inverse of that? So you can check if something is equal. But actually, before we jump down to inequality, I want you to notice that there are two equals here, and that may seem a little bit weird to you. But what would happen? What would happen if it was 1 equals instead of 2? We've already learned, and we're going to learn again later. If there was only 1 equals, that is reserved for assignment. So that's how you set like a variable. 1 equals will try to assign what's on the left to the value that's on the right. So if we were to do something like 5 equals 5. It wouldn't compare them. It would basically say cannot assign literal because that 1 equals is for assignment, but the 2 is to compare. 2 equals starts the comparison. All right, so now let's learn how to do the inverse of equal. So you can check if something's equal, but you can also check if something is not equal. You can make sure two values are not equal. So let's look at the example here. This read it like this. This says, is 5 is the value of integer 5. Again, just say that for practice, like really look at something, try to, if you're new to this, if you're new to types, really practice this way. Like say, is the integer 5 unequal or not equal to the integer 5? And so this inverse can be very confusing. So because this is an inverse, the values are going to be flipped. And so if we're checking if 5 is not equal to 5, they're the same. So that is actually a false statement. So this right here, well, one, the exclamation point here, or the bang, whenever you see that in just about any language, whenever you see that next to an equal sign or in front of a lot of other things, it means not. It kind of flips the value there. So it's basically saying, is 5 not equal to 5? And saying it that way is confusing because you wouldn't normally talk that way, but that is false. That is false because 5 is equal to 5. So if this is true, this has to be false. But is 5 not equal to 6? Yes. Yes, 5 is not equal to 6. So this is true. And again, we can jump down and mess with this. And now, in that case, let's just say, even if we did it with a string, we change it like this. What will this give us? Is hello not equal to hello? And hit enter, and that's false. And again, that's false because they're the same. This comparison operator checks for inequality. It wants to know if what's on the left is unequal to the thing on the right, but those are equal. But now, if we do the capital H, we go ahead and we get true because these are two different strings. And again, same thing. We can do numbers here. We can even do a string on the left and an integer on the right. And again, hello is not equal to 5. So this is a true statement. So evaluate the entire statement and check if that comes out to true or false. So we have equality and we have inequality. Again, inequality can be very confusing. You can pretty much use you can finagle equality in almost every case. I would recommend trying to use equality before using inequality, just because again, people get confused when they're looking at something like this, trying to evaluate if things are true or false. When you have the inverse, yeah. So let's take a break there. Does anyone have any questions about equality or inequality? These are the first comparison operators. Again, the word comparison means to compare values. Comparison operators allow you to compare two values. You compare what's on the left to what's on the right. And so the first one is comparing if they're equal, and the second one is the inverse in comparing if they are unequal. What happens when you do an integer less than a string? So we haven't got to less than yet. We'll definitely get there in a second. But specifically about equality or inequality, is there two things you want to see, or something you tested locally that you thought was interesting? You got some interesting output. Are those options of comparing true or false the only way, or are there more? Zero's theory. Can you restate your question? Those options of comparing true or false the only ways. Yes. I'm gonna say yes for now. There are some yes for now. All you need to know, right? Yes, it's gonna. All the operators like this are going to return true or false. You can actually do. There's also some other operators that you don't have to do like this. But yes. Special comparison methods for comparing complex objects. Okay. All right, no questions about quality or inequality. So let's get to these last four. I kind of grouped these two and these four. Hey, Simon and Matt, appreciate the subscription. Welcome to the family. I'll get you that link to the Google Classroom. So now we can do some other things. We can compare if something on the left is greater than something on the right. Now, it's really funny. I don't know why when I was younger, this was the hardest thing for me to remember which one was greater than and less than. It's very simple. But we're going to go over that in a second. But you can compare if something is greater than something or less than something. We'll start with these two, then we'll drop down to these two. But again, read it from left to right. Is 5 greater than 4? And this is a true statement because 5 is greater than 4. But on the left here, we have is 5 greater than 6? 6 is a larger number, so 5 is not greater than 6. So that is a false statement. I think when I was little, they used to tell me to look at it like an alligator mouth, and whichever way the alligator mouth is like open to, that side should be the bigger number for this thing to make sense. Or Pac-Man mouth, and if the open mouth is to the bigger number, then it will be true, no matter which way it's facing. And I was like, that's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. Like when I went back and thought about it that way. But when you read it from left to right, I think it's fairly straightforward for me, at least. And then less than, again, is the inverse of greater than. So you can see the pattern here. We have this one, and this one is the inverse. Greater than and basically less than is the inverse. So you can use both of those in either order. So let's go down and let's check some things here. So and we can definitely use your zero theory. We can use your question here, but is 5 greater than 5? So this is first thing that's good to do. You saw in the other one, we made clear distinctions on whether or not something was greater than something else. But is 5 greater than 5? No, it's not greater than 5. But so let's see what this is going to give it. It's going to give false, again, because 5 is not greater than 5. It's not less than 5, but it's also not greater than 5. And this statement is checking if 5 is greater than 5. So that's false. Is 5 greater than 4? Yes, this is going to return true. Or any other number. You can do negative numbers, negative 5, and this is true. What happens if we do is 5 greater than 5? I did not spell that right. Okay, and so it's going to do this value, and it's going to say, hey, the greater than type error, even though this is a dynamically typed language, it's going to say greater than not supported between instances of integer and string. So, and that was kind of your question, zero theory. You cannot do that for strings, but you could do it for something like this, where we learned how to check like the length of a string or some collection like a list. And I could say, is it greater than the length of 5? So now it's going to count the characters in 5, and that's going to return true because there's only 4 characters in 5. So there are kind of ways you can do that. You could also probably do some typecasting. So maybe again, maybe you're taking in user input and they're passing that's going to be a string, but you want to convert it or typecast it to an integer. Maybe they put in 5, and this will also do the comparison because now it tries to change it into an integer. But yes, but what happens if you do it the opposite way? What if you try to do 5 greater than 5? Same thing. You get the exact same output there. But again, you could apply those same methods. And then again, we can do 5 is less than. Is 5 less than 6? That is a true statement. 5 is indeed less than 6. But this also is the same thing. I can't just type in a string here and compare those things. So good to know. Cool. Those are pretty simple to figure out. Again, the only reason I'm making a big deal about trying to whatever methods you need to remember this is, I was surprised at how many people last time I did a little like mini Python workshop, and a lot of people had trouble remembering which one was which. And I remember I did when I was younger as well. So whatever mantra you need, looks like people said also less than left hand. Oh, I like that. Never used that one before. Whatever mantra helps it work for you, definitely go ahead and try to do that. Don't feel like you should, oh no, don't feel bad because you should know that or anything. Just whatever mantra you need to memorize it, go ahead and do that. But now we're going to add in the last 2 of the main comparison operators here. And we have greater than and less than, but now we have greater than or equal to and less than or equal to. And like, make sure you listen to what I'm saying because it's going to come up later. Greater than or equal to and less than or equal to. And that or is important. The or is important. But the way that you do that is the same way you would use kind of 2 operators up here. We're going to say greater than or equal to. So it's a good visual case. And so is 5 greater than or equal to 5? Yes, it is. 5 is equal to 5. So this is a true statement. But is 5 greater than or equal to 4? Still true, because 5 is greater than 4. It's not equal to 4, but it is greater than 4. And then again, less than is just the inverse. So 5 greater than or equal to 5 is true, but so is 5 less than or equal to 5. That is also true because in both cases, this equal statement reigns true. And is 5 less than or equal to 6? This is also true. So let's see if you can do those with anything else. So 5 or a number greater than or equal to, let's say 0. This should give us a true back because 6 is greater than 0. But let's see if we can do strings here like we were doing before. And again, same thing, because it's still trying to apply, even though we know this works for the equality operator, the greater than or less than does not work. It can't make that comparison. So in this case, it doesn't work. So just like that, real fast, we just went through all of the main comparison operators. Now, take it in. Why? We're not going to learn until next class when we get to kind of if statements and conditionals. But one of the reasons you would be using these, you're going to use these a lot, is you're going to use these comparison operators to determine whether or not things should happen. So you're going to do something like, hey, if this person enters in, maybe I'm looking for a birth date and it's supposed to be a certain number of characters, and you can say, you can do a little bit of logic, you can take some input, you can say, hey, if this input, if input is the length of input is less than or greater than a value that I've chosen, do something else, or do something else if it's not. So you can use these to make decisions. You can use these comparison operators to determine if a case is true or not and make some decisions off of that. And again, we're going to learn that once we get into learn that next week. We're gonna learn how to take this stuff is very important, and apply it to what we have next week. So yeah, that is comparison operators, and we're already through I think 25% of what we're gonna learn tonight. And I think this slide has the most that it's gonna have on it. So any questions about that stuff? Let's see here. And I wish there were some good, I don't know. I wish there were some good problems you could do. I couldn't find any good problems to do without having to know conditionals or loops yet, to just work on comparison operators and variables and stuff, and maybe some data structures. But there weren't any good ones. But again, you only have one more. Next class is when everything gets put together and you're going to be like, this is cool. I can do some cool stuff. Make some stuff happen. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I think we've gone over math operators already, but these arithmetic or math operators are also operators. So I wanted to go over them again if we have not already gone over them. But you can do, I think we did them during the data types pieces, learning all about data types. So again, just a refresher here. Math operators, arithmetic operators. This is math. These are operations that you can perform on Python code. Let's go ahead and add in here. Let's go ahead and put exponents in here. Come on. Everything has pointers or memory stuff. You do not have to. No, it's not a language where you have to manage memory or do any garbage cleanup. You have access to pointers if you need them, but no, you do not have to worry about that stuff in Python. Yeah, you don't have to worry about that stuff in Python if you don't want to. But you don't have to worry about them. Cool. So basic math stuff. Let's go through it. We know about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So let's hop in and just do some simple stuff. 5 plus 5, just like a calculator. Pretty simple stuff. 5 plus 5 equals 10. You can do this in your code. We also learned that you can apply some of these arithmetic operators to strings. The string 5 plus the string 6 equals 56, because it just concatenated those strings. It applied those things together there. So same thing with subtraction. We can do 9 minus 3. We can do 7 minus a really big number that shouldn't start with 0. Timing was great. I called it out before I did it. So then you can't act like I didn't know what I was doing. All right, and it gives us a negative number, so you can do this just like a calculator. All those calculation methods you can use. Same thing with multiplication with the star. So the multiplication key is the star. The 7 times 3, 21. Same thing with division, 21 divided. So slash is the divider operator. And that'll give you 7. Division returns a float. You can see here, it's a 7.0 here. Division returns floats. Why? Why does division return floats? I'll give you a quick second to realize why. And if you were able to figure out, or if you weren't, it is because division can return incomplete numbers because there are remainders. So it can deliver you back decimals, basically, because a number won't always evenly go into another number. But yes, answer could be decimal. That is why. And so if you multiply a float, it will return you a float, but by default, it won't always return a float. Division always returns a float. And then again, the one that people may not know. So I ran through these 4 really fast because even if you were not around for the data type stuff, I think hopefully the simple 4 math operators is not brand new to you. It's not brand new to you, but modulus might be. And so we said division might return not a whole number, but modulus returns the remainder. So it actually does division. It does divide a number. So if I did 10 divided by 5, I would get 2. If I did modulus divided by 5, if I did 10 modulus 5, then I would actually get 0 because there's no remainder left over. So it does division, but instead of returning the value of the division, it returns the remainder instead. And again, we can see like 10 divided by 5 is 2. And if we do 10 modulo 5, we'll actually again get 0 because there's no remainder. 5 goes into 10 evenly twice and there's no remainder. But what if we did something like 4? So let's do divided by 4. What is 10 divided by 4? It's 2. It's 2, so it goes in twice. So 4 and then 8. And so we have a remainder of 2. It can't go in there 3 times, so it'll be 2 with a remainder of 2. So this will return 2.5 times, 2.5. But if we do modulo, what did I do? 4. This will return the remainder, which is 2. Again, goes in twice with a remainder of 2. So modulo returns the remainder. That might be the one you've never seen before. Oh, yes. Yeah, you can use, good point. You can use the double slash to do integer division. Do you know what that operator is called? I've used it before, but it doesn't have an extra name besides just division. I forgot what it's called. I thought it was called something different, but yes, if you want to do integer division, you can do the double slash, but regular division just returns the float every time. Wrong screen. And then exponents. So taking something to the power of another number. So 2 to the power of 2 will give us 4. So this will multiply 2 by itself. So 2 times 2 is 4. But let's go something like 9 to the power of 9. So give us a much larger number. And to get this big number right here. So that's exponents. So if you're not sure what how to do exponents, or really what they are, or that explanation of modulus or modulo wasn't good, wasn't sufficient, again, write it down. I don't want to spend too much time on this part because we've already done it before. Write it down and do some research. Watch some videos. It's okay not to understand immediately, but I think most of you are going to understand just fine. Gonna understand those topics just fine. I'm actually glad we've already gone over that piece because now this feels like a nice. This feels like it's going to, like, after the night. I feel like there's going to be just enough information, but not enough new information to allow people to soak up what we've done so far and kind of refresh on it and really get that stuff committed to memory before we get to what I would consider to be the hard stuff. Let's see. On the off chance that speed is super important, subtraction and division are slower than addition and multiplication, respectively. This is true. This is true, and I've actually seen people write weird, like doing like microservices, write weird endpoints where their multiplication, where they'll instead of subtract, like they'll do weird things instead of doing the operator you would expect because of speed, but like. It's really not that important when you're just messing around, but yeah, most of the time speed won't be that important for you. It's not a big enough of a problem, but that is good information to know. Quick off-topic question. I'm starting from the beginning. Is there any way to get the first and second episode of this batch? Yes, and actually, I think I figured out how to. Hold on, wait. We did this already. Display capture. Show HD60. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. Display capture, show. Let's see. I'm gonna show you guys here. This PC. This is my Windows PC. I have them all I have everything exported to these folders. So they're here. They're here. The Python ones are too. There are still 3 in the queue because again, I had some issues with my graphics card. So I had to switch my rendering out to be CPU only for now. So I get a new graphics card. But they're here. They're already exported. I have all of the recordings already. They're already exported. They're kind of large. They're like 8 gigs a piece because they're pretty long videos. But they're here. They're ready. I have them available. But I have not uploaded them. We have really fast upload speeds here, which is great. Like we have like almost 600 megs up, which is super nice now that I have Ethernet. So they'll upload pretty quick. I just need to actually do them. So yes, they'll be very soon. I want to commit to tonight, but I don't know how. We're not going to go late tonight, so I should be able to at least upload them. They might have entitled them, but I wanted to add a bunch more information to them, which is going to be a little bit time consuming. But you will be able to see that. I've seen it in the YouTube playlist, but it seems to be from the previous batch. This is true. Also, it's to note the Python stuff, because I've never done the Python one before. These will just go up as is. But the Devops ones, I'm actually going to be replaced. I'm only going to keep one playlist around at a time for each course. So I'm actually going to be replacing the videos in that queue. So if you're going through, it actually shouldn't affect you. Like if there's a weird, if you're in the cutover area, but there won't be a second playlist for this course. There will be, I will be replacing the videos from that playlist just as I go through each time. So don't sweat it. All right. Let's see here. Okay, let's get over to, we did math operators. Now let's get to assignment operators, because this one's fun. Well, not fun, but there's an extra concept here that we can kind of show off here. But assignment operators. So the first thing I told you when we got to comparison operators, again, comparing what's on the left to what's on the right, I told you that it had 2 equals there for that, because a single equals would be assignment. And when we did our example, and we tried to assign, and we tried to do like 5 equals something else, it says you cannot assign literal, because again, the equals, 1 equals is an assignment. But there are other assignment operators that do different things. And these assignment operators are basically assigned, in conjunction with the math operators that you just saw. So these are kind of a hybrid thing here. And so you've got addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, and exponent. There's actually more here. But let's see. Let's see how these things work. And maybe we'll write, let's get out of here so we can get into some colors, and maybe we'll write, let's write some Python in a file. Documents, mastermind. We have streams. I gotta remember this. I gotta set up an alias to just go to this directory. Python, I never remember it. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and do them assignment.py. All right, we're gonna open up this here. So we'll mess around in a second. The uncut, unedited versions of your stream would also be sufficient. So yes, if you upload these recordings to Cloud, yes. Yes. If I put them like an S3 bucket, them in like an S3 bucket, that would work. But because of people's internet connections, etc., like a 7 gig file might be unusable. That's why YouTube is the best place. And the problem is my intro, the starting soon music. I don't choose. Right as of right now, at least, that music is copyrighted music. And if I do not cut the beginning off, it's not about monetization. They will copyright strike my video. It happened last time. Like every other one that I put up will get pulled down, actually. So that's the only, I'm not actually doing any editing on it. I'm just chopping off the starting soon section. The solution to that would simply be to find some music for that is not copywritten. But one of the problems with that also is that people despise that first 10 minutes being uploaded. So it's a little bit of convenience for you. But that is certainly an option to give anyone with an internet connection good enough a chance to download it, like throwing it into S3 bucket, because it is my content, would be fine to do. But YouTube is the place for it for a lot of people, again, just because of the technical access to it. Slightly OT question. Is there a method that's just all the prime numbers in a list? I don't know. I think maybe. I think is there like a... So you can go to... let's see. I actually don't know. But we can go to like W3 schools or something. Usually has a good list of methods. So you can do like Python, math methods, maybe. Maybe there's something in there's probably something in one of the packages. Let's say Python method prime numbers. I don't think so. There might be an is prime thing or something. If it looks like they actually defined an is prime thing. So I don't think there is not that I know of. You might have to import some kind of package or something, maybe like NumPy or something to do that. But I don't know. I'm sure someone's written some kind of tool to do it, but I'm sure someone has. Our list of prime numbers, yeah. A while back I downloaded the first set of 50 million. Well, that seems rather intense, but yeah, there's definitely some interesting ways. I've seen a few interesting ways to check for prime numbers, especially if you're trying to do some Project Euler. I think that's how you pronounce it, Project Euler problems. Those are really good mathematical problems. That also, they're good math problems that allow you to use your coding chops to be able to figure them out. And I think it's like the third or fourth problem is a very interesting one about that is all about prime numbers. And so that might be something cool to check out. Actually, let me give you guys a link to Project Euler. I'm pretty sure it's Euler, even though it's spelled to Euler. It's Project Euler, and it has a lot of problems. It doesn't look great, but it is a good site. I would check it out. And again, it's math problems that you can really only realistically get the answer by writing a program for. So go ahead and check it out. Definitely go ahead and check it out. The current batch, yeah, or someplace they're going to be on YouTube. They're going to be in YouTube before next week starts. I'm really going to try to get them up tonight or tomorrow. I don't stream tomorrow. So I'm pretty confident that I can get all of the, they're all edited. I need to export the last few, but you only need the first 2 or 3. You saw the first, all the Devops ones are done. And I think the first 4 of Python are done. So those should be up for you really fast. Just go ahead and subscribe. You should get a notification when all those things go up. Hopefully you don't get woken up by like 9 notifications in the middle of the night when it's done actually uploading and processing, because they're pretty large files. But yeah, finding new prime numbers is not trivial. It's not trivial, but there are some interesting ways. There's some interesting ways people have done it, and it doesn't take a ton of code to kind of just get a quick little function together to do it. Let's see. It's not quick. It's not quick though at all. There's a lot of trivia. There's a lot of different cool ways, but it can be very taxing. And I actually, it's very interesting because one of the Project Euler problems, I brute force something for prime numbers. I did it with Golang, and I got the right answer. It took my program 48 hours to run, a little over 48 hours to run, and goes very fast. But it was because I was brute forcing prime numbers to a really, really high number. And there were better ways to do it mathematically, but I just want to do it for fun and see if it would actually work. And it did work. It just took a very long time. My computer was like pretty high CPU memory usage. CPU was fine, but pretty high memory usage. Pretty interesting thing to do. Let's see. All right, so you know about Project Euler here. Okay, so we were on assignment operators. All right, and we opened up our file, And so let's just put a comment in here. Assignment operators. All right. Wow, I spelled that way wrong, but no problem. I don't care about that right now. All right. So let's check something out here. So let's make a variable called x, and let's set it equal to 20. All right. So we got a variable here, and square root number of testing for your primeness. Yeasty goodness, that is the problem. That's the problem for sure. And yes, I did do that the first time because I actually spent time. I actually went on YouTube to learn. I learned how to solve it mathematically before writing a program for it. So I did use a square root method first, and I got the answer really fast. I got the answer really fast because I spent time learning how to solve the math problem first. But then when I went back, I just was like, what if I didn't go look up how to solve the math problem first? What would I have done? And I was like, I would have brute forced it, and I brute forced it, and it took forever to run. But yes, that is the problem. But cool. So we have this variable here. We're gonna set it equal to 20. All right. So we have 20. Let's go ahead and print out x to screen just so we know for sure that it's 20. And then let's say we want to do some math to it. What if we did x plus 30? All right. So now we should get 50 now. Let's go ahead and let's print x again. So what are we doing here? We're doing x equals 20. So we're setting a variable. We're making sure x is equal to 20. We're going to print it out just to make sure x is what we want it to be. Then we're going to add 30 to x. And then we're going to print out x again. So we should get 50 down here. Python 3.8, because that's exciting. And we run it, and we get two print statements just like we added in. We displayed two things to our standard output, and we got 20 the first time. And then even though we added 30 to our variable, we got 20 again the second time. Why did that happen? Let's take a look at what we have here. So we set a variable, we set 20. We checked to see what it is. We added 30 to it, and we did it again, it's still 20. This is where assignment operators come in. This is where assignment operators are good. But you can, so in this program, this actually happened. It did evaluate x plus 30, and we can prove that by doing another print right here. And so this does get evaluated. It's not being ignored. Our program is not broken. We do it, we get 20, 50, and then 20. But we performed this operation, but we didn't assign the value to anything. So it did it, but we didn't assign that to anything. Like the output of that, we didn't assign that to anything. And so this is where assignment operators are really cool. To save that value, what you would normally do is not normally, but what you could do is you could say x now is equal to x plus 30. So now if we do it this way, x is now equal to x plus 30. We are basically evaluating this, and we are assigning it to the value of this to what's on the left over here. So if we run this again, we should get our original expected thing. So we got 20 here, we add 30 to it, and now this works as intended originally. But what we can do with assignment operators, and we can do shorthand here. And so we can do x plus equals 30. So what this does first is it uses the first item here, which is the plus symbol, to evaluate. So it basically says, hey, I'm going to add x and 30. And then I'm going to assign the value of that back to the variable that's on the left. So this right here is the exact same thing as x equals x plus 30. And so that is how an assignment operator works. So we know equals is an assignment operator, but you can use equals in more ways. And this is combining your arithmetic operators with your assignment operators. And it makes it a little bit easier for you to be able to assign value. So let's print this out and make sure this works how we want it to work. And we can see here, it still works how we want it to work. This is, Yeah, and so you can do this with all of the things that we just learned. So you can do it with minus. So minus equals 30. So it's going to basically subtract 30 from X and reassign that to the value of X so that we don't have to write any extra code to resave that thing. And we get negative 10 because 20 minus 30 is negative 10. If you want to do a little, maybe if you forgot about how to do math, what happens if we subtract negative 30 from 20? Let's check that out. That's like addition. So now, we get two negatives, which makes a positive in this case. In life, they say two negatives don't equal a positive. Well, it does in math. And so if you subtract negative 30, it follows the rules of math and it actually adds it to it, which is really nice and what it's supposed to do. But you can do minus equals. You can do, you can do all of them. A multiplication equals, so that's going to give us a large number. Not nearly as large as I thought. You can divide, which is going to give us a weird number, or 0, if it was an integer. And then you can also do things like the double slash or the exponents. So this is going to give us a large number. So these are really great. These assignment operators are really great. Again, they make your code pretty quick to write. You don't have to do. I don't know. It's a lot easier to write that instead of something like x equals. A lot easier to write. The syntax to me is very readable. But again, they're assignment operators. They allow you to basically evaluate a value and assign that value to a variable, all in kind of one fell swoop, which is super nice. You'll see this in a lot of other languages. You see it in a lot of other languages. One thing that I actually pulled from the arithmetic operators piece, and wanted to give it to you in this piece after you already saw this, is increment and decrement. So incrementing by 1 and decrementing by one is a common thing in every language, and it becomes generally more important when you're doing loops. Like once we get to the loop section, it'll make a little bit more sense why you would want to do something like that. But in Python doesn't have the same kind of incrementing and decrementing things that you might see elsewhere. So in other languages, you could do like x equals 20. And then if you wanted to add 1 to that, you could do something like 20 plus plus. And you won't be able to do it here because of the way the expression that it is, or not 20 plus plus. You would do something like x plus plus. But that is not a thing here in Python, which I actually didn't like. I hated it at first. That's not going to do anything, but it's worth a try. Invalid syntax, you can't add 1. So that would add 1, and minus would subtract 1. So if you've learned another language at all, or you watched a Golang piece, you saw something like this. In Python, when you want to increment and decrement, you have to use those assignment operators to do so. So it would just be x plus equals 1 to be able to add 1, or minus equals 1 to subtract 1. And I just wanted to bring that up again. If you're familiar with another language, and when we get to loops, you might be a little confused that you can't do invalid syntax. Really? Oh, because I would just print x. That makes sense. Never mind. That makes sense. X plus equals 1, and then you print x down here. Can't assign it and print that. Over x. But yes, not having that assignment operator might be confusing to someone. What if you want to assign the second line a different letter, y, but not using x equals 20? So do you mean something like this, like x equals 20? What if you want to assign the second line to a different letter? So you're saying like like y equals x, like y equals x plus 30 or something like this. Is this what you mean? You wouldn't be able to do a plus equals here because it's going to use what's on the left and what's on the right to do that assignment operator. So if you wanted to change, add a new variable or change the variable, you would have to write it out. Write it out like this. What we could do here is we could make some space and we could print y, and this should give us 50 right here. Yep. So yes, if you wanted to change this, you wouldn't be able to use that same operator. Like this doesn't really make any sense. Yeah, it only makes sense when there are two values there for that one. Not using a plus equals. What do you? Okay, yeah. Hopefully that covered it. And actually, I forgot you're probably seeing. I'm probably reading the chat, and it's probably taking. I don't know how long behind my buffer is, but it's probably taking a while to get to what I'm saying. All right, so whoa. All right, the last. So now we're already on the last set. So we'll take a quick break there. We're already on the last set of things, and maybe this will be a good time to, maybe after we get through this last set of things, maybe we'll just in this file, maybe we'll just go through and make a bunch of stuff that rehashes out everything that we've learned, put some stuff together. Maybe we can combine some things in a second. But actually, this one we'll be able to do a few examples of this next piece. So what have we done so far tonight? We have done, we've done comparison operators, again, comparing what's on the left to what's on the right. What's the key thing to know about these is that it always returns Boolean values. We learned math operators, which we've learned before during the type section, which is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Modulus, or again, modulus, it does division, but returns the remainder. And then we did exponents here. Assignment operators, we just learned that. So assignment operators, we know equal is an assignment operator. It's how you do assignment, but we can combine some arithmetic operators with assignment by doing these plus equals shorthand. So if we want to add something to a number or multiply a variable by a number, we can do that in one fell swoop by performing that action and reassigning that value to the variable so that we can get that updated output for that one. And then the last piece that we're going to be doing is logical operators. So logical operators allows you to combine cases of these operators, of comparison operators in particular. It allows you to combine them to introduce an additional layer of logic to your code. And so what are the three things that we have here for logical operators? We have an and statement, we have an or statement, and we have a not statement. Not's a little bit different, but not's a little bit different. But and or we're gonna go over first, then we're gonna go over and do some not statements. And so what does and or mean? So let's go ahead and use one of our comparison operators first. So we're gonna say x is equal to 40, and we're gonna say y is equal to 60. We're gonna say z is equal to 100, and we're gonna say a is equal to 4. I don't know, just random numbers there. So we got a bunch of different things there. We set 4 variables there. So now we can say something like, maybe we want to check the first case. Maybe we want to say, is x greater than z. Let's say, is x greater than z? So we want to check if x is greater than z. So let's go ahead and write that really quick. Is x greater than z? And we need to know for sure what that is. So we're going to go ahead and print that. So we can evaluate that. And this is going to return us what? a Boolean value. This is going to print out true or false. It's not going to print out 40 is greater than Z. It's going or 40 is greater than 100. It's not going to print out X is greater than Z. It's going to evaluate that because it's a comparison operator, and it's going to print out a true or a false statement. So is X greater than Z? X is 40, Z is 100. We should go ahead and get a false here. So let's check that out, and we do in fact get a false. Also, just so you know, you can do, you can assign that to a value. We'll call it answer. Do I need, can I just do this, or do I need parentheses or something? Can I even do this in Python? Oops, I didn't print it. Print. All right, so we just basically did that comparison operator, and we assigned it to a value. So, we can also check. We can also check if. Let's comment this out. We can also check answer is equal to. Maybe we can check if A is equal to. A is equal to, what did we use? Y. Is A equal to Y? It's not. We should go ahead and get another false here. All right, so we printed that out. Here's what we can do here. We can do something like this. We can now introduce some logical operators to make a decision based on more information. So comparison operators only take in what's on the left and what's on the right. So only two options. But if you want to extend that, the first one is an AND operator. So AND is double ampersands. This says AND. So reading this from left to right, this says is A equal is A equal to Y? Is the value of A equal to Y? And this is where you would plug in another comparison operator. So and is let's actually do this. Let's actually go as A is A, what is A4 less than Y, and is A less than Z. So now what do we have here? We have two logic operators. So we know this comparison operator. We have one logic operator. We have two comparison operators. We know that comparison operators return true or false values. They return Boolean values. So what happens when you do something like this? This statement is still one statement, and it still returns a single Boolean value. So this entire statement here will still return a Boolean value. So what the AND does, the double ampersands, it says, hey, first evaluate the thing on the left. That must be true. And then evaluate the thing on the right. And that also must be true for me to evaluate to true. So this statement, an AND statement, can only be true. It will only ever evaluate to true if what's on the left is true and what's on the right is true. That's the only way it can be true. It's basically saying, is this true? If this is true and this is true, then I am true. But if either one of those items is false, it will be false. So they both have to be true, and that's what AND means. So let's check that out. Let's go ahead and save it and run it. Whoops. Can I not just stick that in there, or is it in Python? Is it actually AND? I don't know. No, that should be right. Can you do an AND? Oh, that would be cool. I think maybe I knew this. All right, is that? Hold on, let me see something. Man, I'm getting way more messed up if I didn't know you could do double ampersands. You couldn't do double ampersands. Huh. Interesting. All right. I'm getting way more messed up. I'm getting way more messed up than I thought. Like way more confused between the languages than I thought. But cool. That makes it even easier. So and is actually the word and, which is super nice. I knew and was an option, but now I know it's not an option. It's the thing. But yeah, A is less than Y and A is less than Z. So is that true? So is A less than Y? Is 4 less than 60? Yes, that is true. So we can still be true. We're still in a case where this can evaluate as true. And is A less than Z? That's also true. So that should give us true. And I think we already saw that. Yep. So it already gives us true. Now let's make, if we change one of these down here to be false, we'll flip this around. Whoops, I did not flip that around. So now is A greater than Y? A is 4, Y is 60, A is not greater than Y. So now this is false. So this should return us false. So again, the AND operator, the AND logical operator checks the value of what's on the left and what's on the right, and both have to be true for it to evaluate true. Everything has to be true for it to evaluate true. You can also do more than just 2. I could also do and Z and a Z equal to, I don't know, 100. Let's change this back. And now I'm checking 3 cases here, and let's run this. And that's true because Z is equal to 100, but it's checking all these cases. So it's basically saying, hey, is this true? And this true? Yup. And so is this true and this true? Like, is all that true and this true? Yup. So you can combine logically a lot of different operations here. So we can compare a bunch of different things to make our decisions here. Yeah. So you can kind of combine those together to make decisions here. And again, it always returns, it's always one statement, and it always returns a single Boolean value. Even though you're comparing multiple things, it all returns a single Boolean value. And when you're using AND, if a single one of these items is false, a single one, any one is false, then it will return false. So AND means they have to be true. It's inclusive. So if you made the assignment.py file executable, would it know to run it as Python? It would not. It would not, because I did not tell it to. I did not do what's necessary to make that happen. Well, maybe Linux is smart enough to do it now. I'll show you what you mean. Let's check that out real quick. So anyone who hasn't done the Linux stuff yet, I'm going to change the permissions of this file to make it executable. So right now, the assignment.py file only has read privileges and write. I have read and write privileges, but no execution privileges for this file. So I'm going to add some execution privileges to it. And if you look at it again, now it's green, and we have this little X over here, and so now it's executable. If I run like /assignment.py, it won't run. It won't run because I did not give it a shebang. That's what they call them. But I would have to do something like, and I could, yes, as someone said it, I could do it in my bash RC or something, but you can do it in the file as well. I could do something, should be able to do something like this. Maybe should be able to do something like, what is it? Slash, I don't know what I need to see my executable for Python actually. Hold on. Which Python 3.8. Copy. I should be able to do something like this. Put it at the top so that it knows how to run it. So Bash knows how to run it. Maybe this might work. Okay, so that's how you would run it. That's how I would be able to execute it as is. I would have to tell this shebang at the top of the file. We're going to learn this in the Linux, the next Linux class on Sunday. We're going to be doing some Bash scripting. But again, this tells the interpreter. This tells Bash, which is my shell interpreter. It tells it what executable to run it as long as this is set as the first line. I could put something like this in my Bash RC to make this work in another way, but this is commonly how you would do it, so that if you pass this code along to someone else, they would be able to do it. So that is, if you want to just be able to run your Python code without having to type Python or set up some weird alias, you can go ahead and stick your Python executable path at the top of the file here and make it executable, and you can go ahead and run it. But that's a good question. That's definitely a great question. Those are the questions I like. Just the random, like, for some people who are just learning Python, that was super off topic. They have no idea what Linux permissions are. They don't really know what that was, but it's an introduction now to a new topic. It's an introduction to a new landscape. It's an introduction to like, oh, like I saw this guy put some path at the top of his file and he executed it, and people can kind of use that to dive further into things and be introduced to things that they didn't know about before. Maybe this will help someone who came here to learn Python want to get interested in learning Linux, or the Linux command line, and I think that's pretty cool. So keep asking questions like that. Cool. I'll leave that up there for now. But yes, that's what the and does. So let's talk about what the or does. Or is it is the inverse. Ors are cool. So in a lot of other languages, ors would be something like this. What was that concept called? So if you're talking about this concept of executing the file, I don't know what that's called. It's some, I don't think there's one word for it. It's some combination of like, I think it's a bash concept, or a shell concept. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that's called. That's a good question. Maybe we can look it up in a second and see if there's a name for it. Let's go over or first, and we'll because I left that at the top, I'll remember to go back and look that up. If anyone else knows, definitely let me know. So let's do an or. So in other languages, you might see something like this. You might see two pipes like this. This is an or. This is an or operator, an or logical operator. So instead of and, it checks if the value on the left is true or the value on the right is true. So in this case, only one of them has to be true. So is A less than Y? A is less than Y. That is true. So whatever I put on this side, A equals this number. This is a false statement. It's not true. A is not equal to this number. But this will return false to us. It will turn false again because it's comparing. And sorry, maybe I'll get my cursor off of this line. I think the colors are going to confuse you because I have this plugin called Quick Scope that allows me to kind of get around the line faster. But I'll leave it here. I'll leave it up here so that you guys can see the colors. But it checks this. It says, is this true or is this true? So even if this was false, it would compare this. And if this was true, it would return true. So only one of them has to be true, and we can just do this again, and we do get a true. Even if we threw in more ors and all of them were false, as long as one of those statements is true, it should work. Or 4 is equal to 5, which you know is wrong. We print this out. And it's going to return true because a single statement and this is true. So and is all inclusive. Everything has to be true for that to return true. An or statement just means one of them. Is this true or is this true? If either one is true, that makes me true. And that is how the or operator works as opposed to the and operator. Now you use answer equals. So is the word answer now a variable of sorts in Python? Yes. So answer is a variable. Well, right now, the way I'm using it, it is a variable. Perfect. Zero's theory. This is a variable. I could change this to whatever I wanted it to be. I'm using that I thought maybe it would be descriptive. I can make this literally whatever I want. I could say comparison. Let's say we could call this logical. Underscore operator underscore output if we want. We call it whatever we wanted, but obviously we would have to change I'm getting used to this keyboard, but I'm struggling. But we could change this to whatever we wanted it to be. To print it, we would just have to make sure it's the same. But it is a variable. What is happening? Okay. Oh, wow. Whoa. How do you redo? I actually have no idea how to redo in Python. Oh well. But yeah, I could change it to whatever I wanted. change it to X. I could change it to, well, I couldn't change it to X. But I could, but I should have changed it to X because we've already used it, but we could do that. No spaces. Yes. Oh yeah. So actually, I don't think we ever talked about that. You know what? I'm going to get out of this file. Is there a variables file here? Here we go. Vim variables. There are some rules to variables in Python. I could say answer equals 10. But what if I said like answer equals 30? And what if I said something like our answer equals 50? Let's take a look at what happens when we try to do this. All right, first thing that happens is it gives us an error, but it gives it to us on line 5. So it tries to do it on our answer. So you cannot, one of the rules for variables is you cannot have spaces. So if I do this, this will work. That'll work. They're saved. I just didn't do anything with them. But yes, if you would like to have a space, the way that people commonly do it is underscores. So our answer, man, I spelled that wrong. You do something like our answer. Does Python allow like kebab case? I don't know. Let's see. Okay, cannot assign. Oh, okay. So it sees it. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. That it sees it. You can't use kebab case like with so kebab case. There's a bunch of different cases. Kebab case is dashes, is hyphens in between each of the words because it's like a shish kebab. It's like a skewer going through all the words. Makes sense why you wouldn't be able to use it here because it sees it as a arithmetic operator, so it sees it as a minus, which makes perfect sense. There's other things like there's something called Camel Case. So Camel Case would be something like our answer to the question. So Camel Case is when you capitalize the first letter of each word to differentiate between them. So there's Camel Case, and then there's an interesting. There's underscores is actually called snake case. So if you have like blah 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 underscore blah blah blah. No, that's not snake case. Is it? Yeah, it is. This is snake case, I believe. I believe all the underscores is snake case. Maybe. But there's a country name. There's a country name for Camel Case with a capitalized first letter. There's a company one. Yes, that is right. Camel Case is this. Correct. You are correct, Bedwards. The name for a capital first letter. Someone on my team just taught it to me. We had a whole conversation about this. It's gonna kill me. This is gonna bother me for a long time. But there's a name for it. Let me see. Now we gotta look it up. We have to look it up because we need to. It's called, I don't know, kebab case, camel case, snake case. I think snake case is underscore. Yep, snake case is underscore. Kebab case, so that's the one I was just telling you about with the hyphen in the middle. Okay, Pascal case. I think there's another one for this. Okay, so those are, they call it Pascal case, but there's it's like a country or something, and I don't know why I like the name for some reason, but all right. One day it'll come to me and I'll tweet it out or something because I'll be happy that I remembered it, or I'll just ask my coworker tomorrow. It's like Hungarian notation or something like that. What is Hungarian notation? Hold on. Hungarian notation. Naming convention. Show me an example. Okay, it's definitely not Hungarian notation. All right, I'll figure it out. Because it's gonna bother me until I do, but I'll figure it out for you guys. But yes, those are a couple different cases. So you can use. Actually, are there any caveats to uppercase Python variables? Like, is that like for exporting or anything like that? Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. So just want to show you because someone asked about spaces and stuff in the variables. Just want to show you that. But now let's look at the not operator. So I like to show people the not operator on W3 schools, just because it's a little different than those two. Just to give you a place to reference. Let's see, it's not in here. All right. So this is also a reverse the result. This is also the inverse. We did a lot of inverses tonight. So we did the equality and inequality, and then we did greater than, less than. But not is kind of like the inequality one. But instead of just throwing it like this, it's kind of a function here that you got to kind of throw the comparison in between the thing. So it flips. All not does is it flips the value of what we put in there. So let's vim, what do we call assignment? And so we did an or here. Let's only do two things. We did an or here, which I believe evaluates as true because this first thing is true. So that is true. The not, again, it just simply inverts that. But I know that has been confusing to some people. And I don't know if I've ever seen this in any type of production code. I don't think I've ever seen it in any type of production code. But you can see here it flips the value. So basically it's checking for not this thing, so you can combine not with or. Let's see if can you combine or and. So let's say is a less than y, which is true, or this. So this is gonna give us a true. Can we combine that with an and here? So can we say or and is z equal to 100? So on first thoughts, a is less than y, which is true. So that'll be true. So that'll make this or statement true regardless. So that's true. And is z equal to 100? Yes, it is. So let's see if we read through that properly, it should give us back a true statement. Let's see if it gives us back a true statement. Yes. So you can combine ands and ors. It can get confusing when you're trying to do so. Whenever you have to do something like this, unless you absolutely have to, I like to see them done in different lines or different sections, just to make it less confusing when someone's trying to figure it out. But there are times when you have to do something like this. But yeah, you can combine ands and ors. It can really be a mind. It can mess you up a little bit. So be wary of that. But I just wanted you to know that it's something that you could do. It is something that you can do. Cool. All right. So we are a half an hour early. So I guess, does anyone have any questions about any of that? Just quick recap. Let's talk about what we talked about real quick. We talked about comparison operators. So comparing what's on the left to what's on the right. Equality, inequality, which is the inverse, greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to. We talked about how they return Boolean values only here. And we talked about why this was greater than or equal to. So we learned about ors, where only one thing had to be true. So if this is true or this is true, these will return true. What do we learn about next? We learned about math operators, which you've already learned about before, that you can do math operations in Python, period. Actually, let me show you something for math operations. Again, we focused on numbers for these, but let me show you. We saw that you could add strings together, but let's go in here. Python 3.8. What if we had the string hello? What would happen if we multiplied it by like 3? It goes ahead and it multiplies it by 3. It spits it out 3 times. What would happen if you did hello divided by 3? Unsupported. So some things, some of these math operators can be applied to strings, but they all can't be applied to strings. Just to show you something, just to show you that, because I do think that's important. There are times when you would want to do something like this. It's pretty interesting. Hello to the power of 3. Yep, we just did that. Yeah. So that's good to know. It's just good to know that you can mess around with it. You can use plus, you can use multiplication to be able to do something like that in here. So math operations, all the math operations don't only work for integers and floats. So just mess around with that. Math is, yeah. We'll learn about assignment operators, combining. We know one equal sign means assignment, as opposed to 2 equal signs, which is now doing a comparison. And we learned that we can compare these arithmetic operators, these math operators, to assignments, to the assignment operator, and reassign the value of that math operator to a variable. And we learned about logical operators. So, and or not. Does anyone have any questions about any of those things? Any questions at all? We're kind of free and open right now for anything. This was a very short course, which is good. I think that this will give you time to kind of soak it in before next week, so that we can get into the ifs and the loops and all the fun stuff that we're going to be doing. Dictionaries, tuples. Yeah. So you can see here, we're going to be doing, you know what Booleans are, and now you know what comparison operators are. So we're going to show how we're going to, compare, we're going to add these things together to do some of this stuff here. We're going to learn about switch statements, which is going to be fun. And we're going to be really, literally everything that we've learned so far, we're going to be putting it into practice next week. So that's going to be very exciting. So Monday, we'll learn the rest of this logic stuff. Then we'll be solving some problems. Then we'll learn how to make our problem solving a lot more powerful. And then we will, then you'll know how to code. You'll know how to code. There's more levels to it for sure, but you'll learn how to code good enough that I'm going to be passing you a lot of GitHub links. That's what we're going to learn. Get in here. I'm going to basically be giving you guys, some repos that already exist as a class starts, so that we can have some problems already set up for us. I actually find it very valuable to when you're learning how to code to one, get the shock of looking at other code and trying to break down and understand other code. The code will be very simple, but I also find it that people are, yes, it's shocking, but when you really sit down and try to solve a problem, it's easier to in the beginning to find the missing puzzle piece than it is to create the entire puzzle. So looking at fairly simple code and figuring out what little bit you have to change to make it work correctly is a very, very good It's a very, very good practice, very good exercise to help you be able to get stuff done. I think that was very valuable for me when I was trying to learn, learning React and stuff. I've never been a web developer, and having to work on a project where we were doing a lot of that. It was a lot easier to hop in the middle, and once you get the logic down of the basics of coding, the basics of programming languages, most of it's very similar across the board, and you can apply the concepts that you know to any language, and you kind of move around as you wish. So I think that will be valuable for us to do here. Did we already do if-else statements? Nope, that is literally the next class. So we just did this stuff. We're literally going to get there next time on the 27th. So really, really soon. Nix has .so files and Mac. You guys are talking about DLLs and stuff. I'm out on all of that. I'm out on all of DLLs. I don't know, man. I just don't I've been using Windows for my whole life, or my whole computing life, and I like Windows. I know how to use Windows as a consumer. I do not know how to use Windows as a developer. So I'm glad they released the Windows subsystem for Linux, because now I know how to use Windows to do like technical work. But yeah, Git good. Yeah, Git is fun. I actually wanted to do a 2-part series on Git, but I don't think we're gonna have time for that. I don't think we're gonna have time for it. Yeah. Oh, also, I need to put this up on the site. This first, it's a little bit cliche, but this first capstone project. The first capstone project is going to be blackjack, and I really wanted to not do blackjack at first. I really wanted to not do blackjack, especially. I really wanted to not do blackjack, but it is almost perfect. It's perfect to do in a 2-parter, like for us to do it in 2 classes and to like be able to like really teach the concepts, but it literally enforces every single thing that we're going to have learned up to this point. So that first capstone project will be blackjack. Yes, it's very good for object-oriented programming. What about tic-tac-toe with no arrays? I think blackjack is just, it's one is fun because first you got to teach people how to play blackjack if they don't know. But it has so many different. There's so many different things going on. It's just a really good project. First, I really tried to like think of something better, and I could not think of a better project than blackjack. It's almost always the first go-to big project after you learn how to do object-oriented programming. So it'll be fun. The Capstone 2 project is going to be bigger than that. It says bigger, better project. I said it project details will be up, but I think I'm almost done putting that together. This one's going to be a little more fun, and it might be something that we actually may not be able to. It may be a little ambitious. But I think that'll actually be fun because I think it'll give us something to build upon. Even when we're done with the course, it'll give everyone something to like kind of work with. We may get done in 2 classes, and we may add some extra time. Like I can stream outside of these sessions to get that done. Yeah, we'll figure that out. But this will be a bigger and better project than that. One that kind of tests your. That like goes past what you're comfortable with. Like I think when we get to doing the Capstone project, all of the concepts will be within the wheelhouse of what you've learned, but haven't learned how to actually use effectively in real life. I think what's going to be in Capstone Project 2 is going to be things that are on the like right outside, like things that you can find like enough underneath, but you got to find the next step. So we're gonna go there. I think we're gonna actually do some web scraping with that one. Yes. Python has a lot of cool. Python's good for a lot of stuff. One thing people like to use it for is web scraping. It's really good at web scraping. It has a pretty cool package called Beautiful Soup that allows for that. And I do think the second Capstone project will be doing some web scraping again, because I'm not teaching you web scraping before this. I'm not teaching you about very specifically about some of these packages. It's going to be fun to kind of get inside of there and for really for you to get lost, in there. And yeah, we'll run through it together and like you'll be able to follow along a lot of stuff, but I'm going to leave you a little bit hanging on a lot of that stuff. And I think that's where a lot of the learning will come in. And hopefully this is kind of an experiment. Hopefully I won't leave you hanging too much, but I think it'll be fun to go a little bit past what you'll be comfortable with for this piece. And then we'll talk about all the other stuff. We'll talk about, getting past the coding interview. We'll do a software engineering panel. We're going to do one with the Devops class as well. So we're going to do 2 engineering panels back to back. And this one, I'm actually going to make it before when we did it last time. I only did 1 panel because I was only running 1 boot camp, but it was software engineers and DevOps engineers, and we had a CTO in there. The software engineering panel will be only software engineers, and the DevOps engineering panel will be only DevOps engineers. And I think that is going to be a little bit better because the perspective is going to be very specific for the two of these things. I do think it's valuable for you to watch both of those things. I really think it's valuable for people to watch both of those. They will have similar questions, but with completely different people in them. There's a whole new setup for being able to hear them and see them. So it should be a much better experience this time around, even though it went really well last time. Just the camera quality wasn't amazing, but the sound quality was pretty good. Well, good enough for us just kind of doing it for the first time. But so mark that on your calendar. I really think this will be, both of these panels will be a really good time. I'm also going to put out a list of questions beforehand for people to ask, because we missed out on a lot of people's questions in the chat just because we would go off on tangents. I'm going to give people the opportunity to submit questions beforehand this time. We will still try to answer questions real time, but we're going to try to get people's questions in beforehand so that we can kind of get through a little bit more this time. And we're going to be doing a retrospective at the end. We're going to talk about like what you liked about it, what you didn't like. We did it before. It is okay. This is to be as honest as possible. Like nothing's going to hurt my feelings. But again, talk about what we liked, didn't like, what you think would be better next time. If you're saying, hey, don't do any more intro stuff, go ahead and hop to the mid-level stuff and advanced stuff. I want to do some projects. I want to do this and that. Let me know. I think there are ways to get around this stuff so we can add more options. Trying to figure out the structure for the year. I think the second set of 12-week boot camps is going to be, I think I'm going to do the intro in the beginning of the year, intermediate in the middle of the year, and the ones at the end might be a hodgepodge of things. Not sure. Still trying to figure that out. Will we have that Friday work day for that week? Probably yes. I actually might, if I get my graphics card working out by Friday, I actually might do office hours this Friday. I'll probably just be playing some games, allow people to ask any questions, anything that they've missed, just any questions you have about trying to, the industry, trying to get jobs and things, because lately we haven't had time like this at the end for people to be able to ask questions. I know the first couple, like the first one or two episodes we did because of the content, but I don't anticipate we'll have time like this anymore. So I am going to be opening up office hours probably every other, if my graphics card's fixed, starting this week, if not starting next week on Fridays, just for an hour or two Friday evenings. Should remove the pancake over waffle slide? No, I love the controversy. I'm a man of controversy. I love the controversy of the pancakes versus waffles. I love how much interaction it causes. People feel passionate about it. I'm pretty passionate about it, and I want you to know. Like, I think it speaks a lot about who I am, and I want you to know that about me when you're going into this. We're working together. We're learning together. I need you to know who I am. So that's going to stay in there, and it may even get more controversial than that. What GPU did I get? I got the Radeon 7. I got the Radeon 7 because I'm going to be doing a lot of content creation this year, which is like AMD's top of the line card. It's got like 12 gigs of VRAM or something. It's really good. It's been working for gaming. It works for gaming really well, but I'm not gaming on this PC. This monitor is terrible for gaming. That's why I'll just be gaming for fun on Fridays. When we do that stuff, I won't be seriously gaming. And I have a PC at home for that. But I got it because I was going to be doing some content creation with DaVinci Resolve. I'm having a lot of problems on export of videos, both with DaVinci Resolve and with, I thought it was a software problem, with DaVinci Resolve and with Premiere Pro. It crashes my computer during export. Temperatures look good. My power supply is more than large enough. Not really sure what it is. So when I do switch to CPU render, I have a pretty powerful CPU. It is fine. And it's only like a 15% performance hit during render. But it shuts down my computer, and I don't really have time to be troubleshooting what that is. I'm still within my 30-day return window to return this GPU. So I'm gonna get. I think I'm going back to the Adobe suite for a number of reasons. I think I'm going back to the Adobe suite, which prefers CUDA cores. So I will probably be getting an NVIDIA GPU, probably a 2070 Super or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Or I mean, I might take some time tomorrow and just see if I can troubleshoot it. I saw people saying like you need to like, maybe it might be the cables on my my power supply, maybe, but I have a super powerful power supply. It's like 850 watts or something. Should be more than powerful enough. And it doesn't hiccup while I'm gaming. It doesn't hiccup while I'm gaming at all. I stress tested it. It only does it during export. So maybe it's an OpenCL thing, maybe a driver issue, but I don't have time to be doing that. Like, that's the reason I bought my System 76 laptop for my Linux stuff, is because I didn't want to be messing around with drivers and stuff. I don't want to be doing that with this machine either. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, see, Hackintosh, I could dual boot a Hackintosh. I don't have time. Like, I love that stuff. I really do love messing around with stuff like that. Right now, I don't have time to be dealing with that at all. What's a good first job for someone who wants to do DevOps? I have a friend that said call center or customer service, but I don't think I want to take the RHCSA to upskill cable. Sure. I wouldn't say call center, but I would say desktop support is a great first spot if you're like completely just trying to enter the industry. And this is for literally anybody. I think desktop support is an overlooked option in the field. I started out at desktop support, and I think it's where a lot of DevOps people start off at desktop support. Hey, Suffers, welcome to the channel. Thanks for following. That's a good first place. Or like a if you can get if you're lucky enough to get if you get the RHCSA and you're lucky enough to get like a systems administrator job, it's a great place to start. Like a junior sysadmin job. But yeah, desktop support's fine. I would stay away from a call center. Maybe if you're a customer service person for like a specific software, then maybe that might be fine. Yeah. My wife is she's leaving me. She's going home. She hangs out with me here in the office because she's in her master's degree. So just giving her a goodbye. But yeah, there's a lot of different jobs you could do to kind of get into the field. Honestly, another good one is software testing. It's a big one that I like to push now. Because not because someone asked me once, I was like, oh, you think software testing is easy? No, I do not. I work with some amazing software testers, but I think that a lot of people trying to get into tech who are coming from other industries already have a lot of the skills necessary, some of the critical thinking skills necessary to do something like that, where you don't immediately need all of the technical skills that you may need for some of these other jobs. And it puts you right in the line with the developers, puts you right in the line with the DevOps engineers of like what you're doing, what you're building. You get to see all of it happen. You get to really dig in, and it gives you so much context around the stuff. So I would check out software testing QA positions as well as a great first step. And then you might even just end up staying there. There's software testers I work with here who are basically developers. Yeah, they don't develop software, but they could like have no problem hopping right into the code with us and can understand everything that's going on and help us troubleshoot and all that stuff. So I think it's a solid first place to start to kind of give you access to everywhere else in the industry, to be 100% honest. Dual boot Macintosh, not happening. If I'm doing, I really would love to go full Linux on this machine in particular. The only reason I'm not full Linux on this machine is because the capture card that I have does not allow for it, and for the video editing software. But DaVinci Resolve is on Linux, so maybe I will if I can figure out a capture card situation over here. But I got to stay Windows at home because I play a lot of games, or I want to play a lot of games but don't quite have enough time anymore, which kind of sucks. But definitely returning it. Let's see. Linux is bad with video editors. It is bad with video editors. But again, I've seen good things with DaVinci Resolve lately on Linux, but I just don't know if I want to. I don't know. It's so iffy with Linux sometimes. I just don't know if I can do that. That's the one thing holding me back from going full Linux for everything is video editing is awful. It's really bad on Linux, to be honest. Ubuntu Pop OS dual boot. Yep. I don't use Ubuntu, Pop OS, dual. I don't dual boot. I just have two different computers. Like I said, I do all of my creative stuff from my desktop, creative stuff and social media stuff and all that stuff from my desktop, and play games and stuff. But all of my technical work I do from my my System 76 laptop, because my workflow for Linux is just so much faster and like it's different. So I like to use, again, the right tool for the job. Adobe After Effects, Premiere, Windows is greater than Mac. Yep. That's mostly due to the CUDA core stuff. People seem to like Kdenlive. I tried Kdenlive, and Kdenlive is good when it's not crashing. It's actually surprisingly good when it's not crashing. It renders slow, but it's surprisingly good when it's not crashing. But for me, it crashed a whole lot. For a lot of people, it crashes a lot. Yep, exactly. You start off desktop support. It's almost like a natural progression from system stuff up to DevOps. Same thing for developers though. Like I actually, and again, I know it makes people mad, but I think developers actually make better DevOps engineers, and not because of their yeah, I think they make better DevOps engineers only because they have a software first mindset, and the tools that have been created to enable DevOps really work best when you have that mindset, and you're not trying to a lot of times people coming from a systems background, I try to use these tools to apply the same methodologies that they've been doing by hand on their systems, and that's not always the best way to approach it. So I don't know. I that's why I've actually been spending the past year and a half, 2 years. I've really been working on my development skills and making those better, and that's why I would really like to spend a year or two as a pure developer, not a web developer, but I would love to. I really would. I think it would be I think it would benefit me heavily, but the goal I have is also not to. I also don't want to work for anyone anymore. So maybe I don't know, maybe I'll just do that. Maybe that's just something I'll spend time doing. Maybe I'll build a bunch of stuff. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, QA is a good thing. RHCSA is not a joke. It is not a joke. It will get you to the door, and after yeah. It's not a joke. Get stuck in software testing. That's true. You can get stuck in software testing. So everywhere does not do software testing the same. Yes, you can absolutely get stuck in software testing if where you are kind of just sticks the testers off at the end of the pipeline, and developers make the code and they just give you a product and say, hey, click around this page, make sure this works. You can get stuck that way. Look for software testing jobs where you are on a team with engineers and you're able to work with them hand in hand. You're able to pull up their code right next to you. You're able to, interact with them on a daily basis. And then you make it what you want. If you get stuck, that's on you. But there are places, again, where QA and software testing is, me and the other testers sit here and wait for code to be done. And all we do is click around, and we don't really have any back and forth with the developer. Those are easy jobs to get stuck in. Testing leads to technical writing. Those jobs, I think, do that. Most game can play on Linux now, minus those with anti-cheat. Yes, and I am actually very comfortable with with Linux gaming. It has a lot of games which would mostly solve my problems. The only problem is the one game right now that I play the most is Overwatch, and it does not work on Linux, so it kind of sucks. Definitely sucks. So edit on Windows, render on Linux. That's true. That's true if I was making movie-like quality videos, but that is not the case. I hope to, by the end of this year though, I really hope to be making really impressive cinematic video. Like, it's actually something that I've always wanted to do and something that really interests me. And so again, I'm messing around with some stuff right now. This next video that's coming out, it's going to have to come out Friday because I thought I was going to have more time in the day. Instead of Thursday, I was hoping to release it Thursday, but it's, I don't know. I'm proud of this one. I'm definitely proud of this one. But yeah, maybe if I ever get to that point, that MKB HD level where I'm really making really super quality videos, maybe I'll do something like that. But right now, I don't need it. I don't need it at all. Display link drivers on Pop OS, but Ubuntu is stable. That's interesting. QA teams are basically devs in their own right. Yeah, Yep. Wrote custom software to test devices. Yeah. Also, there's nowadays there's tons of automated testing frameworks. So you can be building code in that. Like there's Jest tests and Mocha tests, and all kinds of automated tests where as a QA or software tester, you might be writing some tests to the developer should be contributing to this, but you might be writing some integration tests as well to like make sure your the code is working as it is intended to. And so that like all this coding knowledge and logic helps a ton with that because it is coding. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of places where I think QA is changing pretty heavily. And yeah, you can learn a ton. You can learn a whole lot. I actually really hope to do so in between the 12-week boot camps. There's like a month and a half in between every boot camp, the boot camp sessions. I really want to set up. We have a cool, like at Fearless, we call them herds, which are areas of discipline basically, and we have a pretty cool software testing herd. And kind of the person who kind of leads it is super passionate. He's very passionate about testing, like very passionate. Learned a ton from him, and I'm hoping I can set up something where we can kind of go over some of that stuff because he really changed my like world in terms of how software testing fits into the life cycle, and like like having that information is really good, and having someone who's passionate about it be able to deliver that information, maybe just the insight you need to maybe take that track. I don't know. I think it'll be valuable, so maybe we're gonna try to set something up like that in between. We'll see. Overwatch does work on Linux. I'll check that out. Everything I saw, it did not. I saw people try to do it with wine and some other stuff, and it would start running, and they would get black screens and stuff like that. But I'll check it out. I'll see if it's working on there now. Anything I should explore from our last DevOps sessions? The last DevOps sessions have just been Linux management. So like operating system management via Linux. So again, getting things like being able to get information about your system, like networking information or memory information, hard drive information, CPU information, process information is what we went over last night. And the day before, the class before, we went over just like getting around the Linux command line. So how to navigate. Actually, that might be a good one to do if for anyone who's like, you see me typing in here, and you're like, what is this guy doing? It might be good for you to go over the video from Sunday for the DevOps session, because it's all about just command line navigation, so that you have some context around what I'm doing when I'm typing in the terminal, because I know that can be confusing sometimes, and that is a powerful thing to know no matter what you go into, to be 100% honest. Having a basic knowledge of the command line is, I think, very, very valuable. Look into Lutris if you want to run Overwatch in Linux. Checking that out right now, because again, I really do. I enjoy working in Linux for literally everything but games and videos, like video making. Like I'm not even gonna say content creation, because I actually use GIMP and Inkscape over Photoshop and Illustrator. I learned how to use them a long time ago, and they're more than powerful enough for what I need. But if I can get video editing down, if you're telling me Overwatch works, what is it, Lutris? What is it? Oh yeah, Lutris. What is this? Open gaming platform. Oh, and this is the first thing that's here. Okay, we can do this. Now, I'm not good for how much I play Overwatch. I'm not good at Overwatch, but I'm working on being better. I need this to run amazingly. Like, it can't be like, right now, you know, I'm running 1440p, 144 hertz G-Sync. Like, I need it to be crisp, because I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to be an competitive esports player here, and it's not working. I don't know how people are getting so good at this stuff. Maybe I just don't have enough time, but I will try this out. I'm gonna try this out as soon as I get, well, not as soon as I get home. This weekend, I'll give this a try, and it's got a lot of my favorite games on here. Cool. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. How is QA testing done in this? Yeah. Show enough. Thank you for that. I'm checking that out. How is QA testing done in the industry? So, testing is done on a lot of different levels depending on where you go. Nobody does it the same, but various levels. So there's something called unit testing. There's integration tests. There are smoke tests. There are all kinds of different tests. So testing is done kind of from the beginning. Do they just throw it over the wall? Some places, yes. But the testing kind of happens at every stage of the cycle. So even if they throw it over the wall, there's testing that's being done before it's thrown over the wall. So people usually ignore that. But there's testing that's being done. So the developer is constantly doing manual tests on their code, is generally responsible for writing, again, unit tests for their code, making sure their functions are doing what they're supposed to do. So the developer does have a substantial amount of responsibility in the testing aspect. Obviously, they have to run it and test it manually, and using their unit test to make sure it works before they can throw it over the wall. A lot of places it is code to completion, then pass on to the QA or test engineers, which is it's the wrong way to do it. It is the wrong way to do it. It's the wrong way to do it. I've now learned that that's a recipe for one. It can be a bottleneck depending on what your setup is. Two, having the tester kind of ingrain the ethos on the team to be including testing throughout the portion. I think that the engineers, I believe that the engineers should be checking in with the testers or the QA engineers from the very beginning. I think everyone needs to be on the same page on what the intention of the ticket is, what the outcome of the ticket is supposed to be, so that like we're not getting to the end and I gave you something that I interpreted to be true. It satisfies the AC, but the idea of the ticket, the ethos of the ticket, the feel of the ticket isn't really addressed. I think most people do throw it over the wall though, but it shouldn't be that way. I think it's changing. Time to DevOps version of QA testing. Yes. The software development lifecycle really does work better when the team is small and when communication is very high. So again, you get a development ticket. Everyone is on board on understanding what the goal of that ticket is, how it's going to be approached, how we're going to test it. Like what are the things that this can affect? As a developer, I'm only worried about getting this thing done. Usually, if I'm going to throw it over the wall, but I'm not thinking about how this thing might affect regression on another piece of the site, or how my code changes here, might affect changes that are coming in from someone else. So that's why it's really good to get those second set of eyes and ears and ideas throughout the process. But yeah, it's generally thrown over the wall in most places. You do the code, pass it off, and they let you know if it's done. I think the problem is that creates an adversarial relationship in between your developers and QA testers. A lot of developers don't like QA testers and vice versa, because again, it's like, hey, you're the person that's keeping me from being productive, getting my stuff done. It's like, no, like you're giving me code that is not good, or not even not good, just doesn't solve the problem. It's not serving its intended use. So it's pretty interesting. By the way, anything I should start doing in the Linux command line that'd be fun? Fun is relative. Maybe, I don't know. I thought learning how to install all my applications via the command line was fun. Again, things like Google Chrome and all the applications that I use, you can do it all from the command line, Spotify, all that stuff. I thought that was fun. And then the customizations were fun for me. That's what made learning the command line fun. Like being able to, I used to use, in Ubuntu, used to use a compiz to like make my desktop into a cube and make it turn and all that stuff. And I would set up all those configs through the command line. So I don't know. I don't know if I have a good idea what's fun. Oh, you can do Vim Adventures. I think Vim Adventures is fun. What's the command for I never remember what it is because I haven't done it in so long. But there's a command if you have Vim installed. Vim Adventures is cool and it makes you feel cool. It's a good thing to learn. How'd you get the Mac-like desktop? So that is what the video this week is about. It's literally a walkthrough on exactly how to do all this stuff. Is what the YouTube video is going to be this week. But what that bar is there are extensions for GNOME or GNOME. I think it's no. I don't know. I call it GNOME. But there's extensions. I use the dash to dock. So if you go to extensions.gnome.org, you probably have to enable it. And I just use the dash to dock feature. So if you're using a Debian-based distribution, even if dash to dock is turned off, you have a dock. You already have a dock. You just don't see it by default. Let's go to extensions, turn off dash to dock. And so when you go here, like if you hit your Windows key or whatever key that is, or go to all applications or hit activities over here, it's popped up over here. Dash to dock just takes it out of here and puts it at the bottom or wherever. I can put it off to the left or the right. And then there's just some theming to get it to look like this. Again, I can move it to the right or the left if you prefer to like have it over here or something. But yes, all these customizations, this video this week is a straight up introduction to this stuff, walkthrough from an empty desktop to getting something like this, or like people will like the setup that I had before. So, but like you can use any theme and stuff you want. I give you all the resources where you can go to find different stuff, new icons, new shell themes, all that stuff. Wallpaper, great sites for wallpapers, commands to run, all that stuff. So that is what the video will be this week. So if you just get into Linux and you're like I want to set my stuff up, cool. This week's video on YouTube will give you all of that information. A show. Put a bunch of Python files off in a recent switch so I can look through them and figure out why they generate the hex for unsupported transceiver. Well, look at you. That sounds fancy. That sounds really fancy. I did not do any such thing today. Plank will give you the Mac-like dock. Yes, there is an application called Plank, which will also give you the Mac-like dock for sure. GNOME Tweaks, yep, that's what I was using. I use XFCE, so not sure what GNOME Tweaks gives you out of the box. GNOME Tweaks will not do anything for you as an XFCE user at all. But Plank will. Plank will give you what you want for U0's theory if you're using XFCE. XFCE is great. I do like it. But again, because my computers are pretty powerful, I like GNOME. I like to have a little bit of pizzazz on my desktop. ChiroDoc, yes, is much better for the MacLink panel. I agree. The MacLink panel. I agree. ChiroDoc is cool. ChiroDoc is cool. And I had Mac icons, but I removed them for now. But again, you'll probably see me switch up my desktop a bunch of times. I might even switch desktop environments. I really like the Budgie desktop environment. And so I may switch over to that for a little while and try that out again. I'm not a huge fan of like KDE. It's kind of heavy, too much stuff. I think GNOME is getting that way as well, but works fine for now. Like, look at this. Like, this theme doesn't work until I highlight this stuff, but I never go in here, so it can be all weird. Like, Linux can be super weird sometimes. Yeah. Cool. What time is it? 10:07. Try Mate with Compiz. You're not candy heaven. Do people still use? I guess with Mate that makes sense, because Mate is basically is it Mate just a fork of GNOME 2? I think it is. Linux is weird and weird is good. I don't know. I with most things in life, again, this is might be one of the reasons, why I built this keyboard. Like I really like customization. I don't know. I like to make things how I want to make them. I like customizing. I like modifying cars, and keyboards now is my new thing. And I don't know, most things that I do, I prefer to do it if I can, make it my own. That's one of the reasons why I like Linux the most. Aside from, again, I was able to make my workflow. My workflow in Linux is fast. It's not fast with this keyboard right now. It's getting faster, but just like the way that I work, the way that I, set things up with my multiple desktops, the key combinations, the different ways I can do things in Linux, the ways I can set things up, automate them, because I've learned the Linux command line so well. And because I'm so comfortable administering a computer through the command line, again, I kind of have full control over the things that I'm doing. So I don't know. That's why it's my preferred method. Everyone talks about how I think there were some days Linux can be unstable, but it can also be extremely stable. And I'm telling you, this is not an advertisement. It's not an advertisement, but buying the System 76 laptop has shown me how stable Linux can be. Cause it's the Mac ethos basically. It's hey, we've designed, we have in-house people who are writing software and firmware to make sure this interacts with your hardware properly. So I have never had a problem with it. I've never had a problem with it. It works really fast. I don't know. And it makes me happy. I almost want to buy a System 76 desktop, to play games on and to see if I can get video editing done with, just because it's been so stable and the support's been so good. I had to ask one question because I was trying, it was something that I was trying to do. It wasn't broken. I was trying to change something and I wasn't sure about it. I don't want to break the computer, and they gave me an amazing answer in less than a day. So I don't know. It really changed my idea of what Linux can be. I'm kind of excited about it. That's why I push Pop OS so much as well, because it's for a long time Linux user, for someone who's fought with my computer. I fought with my Linux computer for literal years. To have over a year of no complaints has been phenomenal. Yes, Mate is the protest branch. I like. Is there any reason? Have you tried Cinnamon? Is there any reason why I would use Mate over Cinnamon? I like Cinnamon. Cinnamon seems very GNOME 2-ish, but seems pretty modern. I think when I tried Mate last, it just seemed old, but maybe not. 2020 year of the Linux desktop. Yes, sure. We say it literally every year. That day. That day is not coming. The day is not, unless you're gonna go with the day's not coming. But hopefully, I'm hoping it gains some traction, but I don't think we're gonna get a year of the desktop. Should I ever apt fix broken install? Yes. There's plenty of times when your packages can get out of whack. And if you need to, there are definitely times when you need to run it. And the good thing is usually apt will tell you when you need to run it. So you can feel free to do it on your machine. Never use Cinnamon, but Ubuntu Mate has a lot of heart put into it. That's cool. I'll check it out. I'll check out Mate. I don't know. I always like good desktop environments. Maybe I'll just install all the desktop environments on here, and then I'll confuse you guys every week as I switch them up. And you're like, it's so different this week. I'll try that. I have to install F random only. I don't know what that is. I want to do it so bad, but I don't know if I trust you. I'm going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. A show and tell Linux. Yeah, I like that. I like the show and tell. I love that. I frequently visit what is it /r Unix porn or /r desktop porn. Which is not a good name because it sounds like it's actual porn, but it's just beautiful desktop setups. Unix porn's a good one. If you ever want to check that, if you're a Reddit user. I don't think I've been to R Pixel porn. I hope you guys aren't setting me up right now. That's why I'm not going to do it on stream. I'm going to do it on my Windows desktop so you guys don't get me in trouble. There's only 187 people in here. Oh, okay. Well, I'll check out some of those. I like. So I've always been Reddit adjacent, but the past year and a half or so, I've become a huge Reddit user. I love Reddit now. So I find new amazing subreddits every 2 days. and I like it's Reddit is the best corner of the internet, man. They have everything. They have like makes me so happy. I actually have to stay away from it because I'll get on these like crazy long Reddit sprees that I hate to get on because it makes me so unproductive, for sure. All right, cool. Well, that's it for tonight. 10:13. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope so far you're on board. Again, I know like some stuff may be confusing. Take between now and Sunday or Monday. Between now and Monday, review even if you got it. Even if you're new to programming, go back over it, run through it, and make sure you have all the concepts that we've gone over since the beginning. So again, things like variables, things like all the different data types, things like all the different data structures that we went over, all the operators and things that you learned tonight. Like, try to make sure you have those as far under your belt as you can going into the next part, because again, the cognitive load once we get into this next part starting Monday is, I think, a lot higher. Maybe it's not for you, but I think it's a lot higher when you get into the actual decision making and control flow and processing of the application. This is where we're actually doing the programming here. These are the tools that are going to allow us to solve problems. I think it's a bit high or higher than what we've done so far. So just make sure you can go into this as comfortable as possible. Again, not super important that you're really comfortable. It's okay to be lost, but just to kind of give you the best chance of learning as much as possible as we get into that part. Yeah, I highly advise that. But cool. Who are we going to? Does anyone have any recommendations on who we should raid tonight? Oh yes, I'll have some time to get everything uploaded. This is good. 10:13 is good. Who's online right now? Ooh, Teha Types is on. I might have to send you guys over to Teha Types on Ice Playing Games. Only because I wanted to show you why I wanted to indoctrinate. Oh no! You guys, you told me a word. Not indoctrinate. What's the word? What's the word? I lost it. I thought I was gonna remember it forever. I didn't remember it. But yeah. One love, absolutely. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining. I'm glad you enjoyed it for sure. Why did I know the command panel asked, "Are you root?" That meant you didn't have privileges. Oh, thought I just had to type yes. That's funny. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. I genuinely appreciate it. I actually have the first run of this, the first time I ran the Devops one. I used to actually dread these a little bit, only because like, you know, you want to teach people things and you want to like be super buttoned up. It's like, I need to make sure beforehand I know all this stuff, and it's like, nah, man. Like it's fun getting on with you all, just having these conversations, going through stuff. And no longer, like, again, I think I'm just getting more comfortable here. You guys are starting to feel like my friends. Like I love seeing everyone's names come across. I'm like, you're back, welcome. Like, I'm starting to get to know people's online personalities a little bit. It's kind of fun. But no, I actually really, it's actually kind of like therapeutic end of day to kind of just hop on and chat with you all. Even when like getting stuff wrong is fine. I have no problem Googling stuff, which is fun. And I think it's a good practice to show you that like guys, like I'm like, when I get things wrong, that like I'm a technical lead. I've been in the industry for a while, and I get simple stuff wrong all the time. I like the and or operator tonight, like just whoops, I forgot about that. Like no big deal. Always things you can Google. You can take people's when people are participating and providing input and value, like that's super great, and showing that you could take that information and we can work together to come to, you know, proper outcomes and learn a lot together. I really love it. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Does the yes command in Linux ever come up? Yes command, like just typing in yes. Whoa, that thing? Whoa! You set me up. Who set me up? No, I didn't know about this. I did not. Oh, yeah. So yes, I knew you could apply yes to a shell script, but I didn't know you could just type it in and it would do that. That's amazing. I see, you learned something. I'm like, I love this because I learned something. Like, I've been learning something almost every stream from you all this time. So that is I did not know that. I knew you could use it to pass in yes to your shell scripts, but I didn't. That is what does. Hold on, weird man. Yes. I mean, that's what it does. It outputs a string repeatedly until killed. All right, that makes sense. That is that's interesting. I love that. I really love that. They don't mind if yeah. That's really funny. All right, cool. Yeah, let me I need to get caught up on a bunch of stuff. Again, I need to get these videos uploaded. I need to do a bunch of other stuff. So we're gonna head over to did someone RWX Rob, is that a person? All right. Let me check. I'm down for that. I'm gonna send you guys over somewhere, or I'll be there too for a little bit while I get the stuff uploaded. Let me just see who's on. Where's the science and tech section? All right. Oh, this is interesting. Actually, I can't remember the last time I looked in here and the earthquake feed wasn't live, or wasn't number one. Is it not live? Like the seismic earthquake? Oh no, it's still here. It's just they lost all their viewers. What happened? It's always number one. All right, that's interesting. Down, was it downright? All right, cool. I will send you guys. We can head on over there. So let me get. Let's see if I'm getting better at this. This thing. I have a whole like cheat sheet for Twitch commands now, and I gotta say, Twitch is it's a phenomenal platform. And now that I know that you can develop some cool stuff against their APIs, we really need to build some stream specific tools for sure. But yeah, all right, I'm gonna send you all over to Downright. Thank you for another great stream. Definitely tune in next week, because that's when all the fun stuff starts to happen. That's when we'll start really building some cool stuff. Yeah, look forward to seeing you next week. Get some rest over the weekend. Hold on, how can I hold on, let me change my channel settings so that I can actually send you guys over there. I'm tired of not being able to send people over there. Set security and privacy, enable. How do I do this? It will not let you it will not let me send you over there because I guess this channel is not like family friendly, but I'm gonna send you over there anyway if I can figure it out. Is there like a force? Can I do like a -F? I don't know. Creator dashboard. What do we got here? Oh, well, from actually, I think I can send you over. You're going.